We're off to Never Never Land, where you can think happy thoughts and get countered. Hi guys, it's another addition to our Modern Tribal series, this time our deck based in blue, Fairies. Yeah, that was the reason for that cheesy joke at the beginning, in case you were wondering. Anyways, this deck is all about fairies and control, which is weird, because I'm actually really excited about this deck. Not often can I say that about a control deck. I don't know, something about this deck. It has a certain synergy that really just resonates with the inner Johnny within me. You know, if you don't know what that means I like playing big, dumb, stupid combos, and I will stop at nothing to do so. And something about the synergy in this deck just really feels like a combo deck to me more than a control deck, even though it is really control. Now this deck, the main engine that it revolves around is Bitter Blossom. Now this is an enchantment that was actually banned in Modern up until, I don't know, fairly recently, but is a 2-drop black enchantment that makes 1/1 black fairy creature tokens that fly every upkeep. But you also have to pay 1 life, but you don't care because it's really also very strong. Now, weirdly enough, this has not, after they unbanned it, everybody bought a bunch and there was like $50, but no one has really made a fairy deck, and it hasn't really been showing up. And so I was like, hey, that's a super sweet card, we should be using it. Check out this deck. Anyways, I think out of all the tribal decks, I think this is probably my favorite. I don't know, I might say that about the next deck, but we will see. Anyways, a cool thing to note is that this is a tribal enchantment, so that Bitter Blossom itself counts as a fairy. There are a couple cards in here that count fairies or care about fairies. This counts as a fairy, so we keep that in mind. We'll come back to it. So let's actually just dive right into the creatures. Ferry Miscreant is a 1/1 flying for 1 blue, and when it enters the battlefield, if you control another card named Ferry Miscreant, you draw a card. Now there's a couple different 1/1 flying fairies for 1 in creation in Modern, but this is the one that does the most, I think. Most of them are just 1/1s for 1, but this can sometimes do something. But I mean, turn 1 getting a fairy out is great because that matters for other cards. You'll see. Okay, it's Misbind Click, one of the cards that cares about fairies. It is a 4/4 for 4, great card, great beater because it's got flying and flash, so you can play it on their turn. In fact, most of the time you want to be playing it on their turn. When it comes into play, you champion a fairy. Now what this means is that you have to sacrifice the Misbind Click unless you exile another fairy you control from the game, and then when Misbind Click leaves play, the exiled fairy comes back into play. And Misbind Click also reads, when a fairy is championed with Misbind Click, tap all lands target player controls. That's super strong. If you are on the play, Magical Christmas Land, where everything goes our way, if you're on the play and you pass the turn to them and then hold priority on their upkeep, tap your 4 lands, play this, tap all their lands. It's their turn 4. They can now only play a 1-drop spell, assuming that they have a land in their hand, and also assuming that they have a 1-drop spell that they want to be playing. It's a great tempo card. It sets them back a turn, basically. This is like almost a 4-drop, fucking, what is that card that gives you another turn? Oh god. Now I'm gonna sound stupid. Well, okay. That went down the drain real quick. Anyways, it's a 4-drop guy. It gives you a body, but it also gives you another turn effectively. It's really strong. And then also you can champion a fairy that you want to protect because it's got flash. If they're trying to remove a fairy that you want to have for later, maybe, you can flash this guy in and protect that fairy. But most likely you'll be using this card for that. It is a 2-drop 2/2 with flash and flying. Think about this actually for a second. This is a 2-drop 2/2. We call them bears. This fairy, this little fucking bug is stronger than grizzly bears. According to wizards, this is stronger than grizzly bears. That's fucked up. Anyways, when Quickling enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return another creature you control to its owner's hand. So this is kind of like the champion mechanic, except it's going to your hand. So then you can play it again. This is a great way to protect your guys. Also, if you need a body, it is a 2/2 flash, so you can flash it in and block something. And something to note, with Misbind Click and Quickling, Bitter Blossom is still a fairy. You can target Bitter Blossom. Now, that's probably like the last thing you want to do. And also you probably have Bitter Blossom tokens that you can target instead. But you can target Bitter Blossom. Actually, take that back. You can't target Bitter Blossom with Quickling because it says creature. But you can do it with the champion because it says champion a fairy, not necessarily a fairy creature. Just fairy. So not Quickling, Misbind Click. Next, Scion of Una. This is our Fairy Lord. 1/1 for 3, not great. It's got flash and flying. And it says other fairies you control get +1/+1. Great Lord ability. But they also get Shroud. Super strong. Great for protecting your guys. And it also gives your Bitter Blossom Shroud. So if they're trying to remove your Bitter Blossom, you flash in your Scion of Una, or any of your other creatures, and now they got Shroud and +1/+1. If you don't know what Shroud is, it's like hexproof, but you can't target it yourself. So it says cannot be the target of spells or abilities. Now you might be thinking like, why would you play this? Then you can't champion or Quickling your guys. Wrong. Quickling says, sorry, not to be rude. That was a little bit rude. Incorrect, sir. Let me correct you on your incorrectness. That was still kind of rude. Anyways, Quickling doesn't say target. In the Oracle text of Shroud, it says specifically cannot be targeted by spells or abilities. This doesn't target, you just choose. And it's the same way with championing. It says remove another fairy you control from the game. Nowhere in there it says target. So the Shroud doesn't actually negatively affect you. You're good. You're good to go. This is a great card. Anyways, next is Spell Stutter Sprite. That is a alliteration mouthful. But it is a 2/2 1/1. Sorry. 2-drop 1/1 flash flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you counter target spell with converted mana cost X or less, where X is equal to the number of fairies you control. Now X or less is that or less is really important because there's a couple cards out there that you can like remove a card from your hand and then counter target spell with converted mana cost X, or stuff like that. But it is specifically X, and then if you have too many fairies, then what are you gonna do? But it says or less, so it's great. If nothing, if like bare minimum, this counters 1-drop spells. So like Path to Exile, counter. What other 1-drop spells are there? I'm blanking. Serum Visions. Lightning Bolt is the big one. That should have been in my head immediately. Spell Pierce. I don't know. There's a lot of really strong 1-drop spells that you can just straight up counter. In fact, I don't know. It just seems it's a great card, but also great because Bitter Blossom counts as a fairy. Bitter Blossom makes tokens. Then you also have a bunch of other fairies. So basically, this is a counter spell in Modern, except better because it's not 2 blue. I think counter spell is 2 blue, isn't it? Maybe I'm looking dumb again, as I do. Lastly is Vendilion Click. This is a 3-drop 3/1 flash flying, and then when it enters the battlefield, you look at their hand, you choose a non-land card, they put that card on the bottom, and then they draw a card. So you can always also target yourself. It says target player. So that's great because it adds a lot of options, and it also gives you information if you need the information. If you're about to you know, if you're about to go off, you need to know if they have any sort of removal. You can get that information. If they don't have removal, then you're good to go. If they do, you can have them put that on the bottom of the library and hope that they don't draw into another removal card, depending on what the deck is. It's just a great card. It's played in a lot of decks. That's why it's $40. But it's also a fairy, so it's also super awesome. So those are the creatures. There aren't any interesting lands, just fetch lands and shock lands, as well as some basics. Now this is an interesting piece in this deck. Sword of Feast and Famine. Now this goes back to the days of Cawblade. And if you don't know what Codblade is, not Codblade, Cawblade, excuse me, that would be a fantastic altar. Someone please alter this to be a sword with a cod on it instead of the blade, but you know, still have the black and the yellow or green. That's green. The black and the green like radiating off of it, but it's a cod, you know, like a big ass fish. That would be awesome. Yeah. Anyways, Cawblade. It was the name of the deck that dominated Standard when Jace the Mind Sculptor, Stoneforge Mystic, Batterskull, and Sword and Feast and Fan. All the swords were in. Not all the swords, I think. Well, regardless, this deck was just like dominating Standard at the time, and they had to ban ban cards out of Standard, and that very rarely happens. It's very reminiscent of what's happening right now. I don't know when you're watching this video, but with Jeskai Black. Actually, Jeskai Black is more expensive than Cawblade was, but only by a little bit. And interestingly, they both have super powerful Jaces that are played in all formats, or were played. You know, Mind Sculptor is now banned in a bunch of formats. Anyways, the reason why this card specifically is reminiscent of Cawblade, and why this card is so good in this deck, is that all of your creatures have flying. So evasion is not a problem for you. Doing combat damage when this is equipped is not really a problem. And what you can do is, well, okay, so what it says is it gets +2/+2 and protection from green. And when the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all your lands you control. That's amazing because you can play this turn 3, equip it turn 4, play another thing, attack in, and then have mana open for Cryptic Command or Mistbind Click. You attack in, and you can tap out, attack in, and then have mana open for counterspells. It's ridiculous in a control game. Also, protection from black is pretty important. You know, that keeps whatever creature from, you know, getting targeted by black spells. Black removal is the main thing. Green doesn't really matter as much. But it's an amazing card in this deck. It was an amazing card in Cawblade. It's dumb. And you can, I mean, like I said, every single creature that you have has flying. Every single creature you can just flash in at the end of their turn and equip it. That, like, it's stupid. It's a stupid card. It's a stupid card in this stupid deck, and I'm so excited about it. Finally, let's talk about our so 4 Serum Visions. Serum Visions is one of the best 1-drops in Modern. I would say it is probably one of the best 1-drop commons in Modern, next to Lightning Bolt, you know, of course. But this card is incredible. I was playtesting this deck and I was like, you know, this deck is not quite getting it there for me. I mean, it's very combo-y and it's really great and it does a lot of cool things, but I'm not getting the cards that I want. And I was like, wait a second, I'm playing blue. What the fuck am I doing? Serum Visions. I talked about this last time. Thoughtseize is like what you want to play if you're playing black, the 1-drop that you want to play when you're playing black. Lightning Bolt is the one drop that you want to play, you know, 4 of when you're playing red. Serum Visions is the 4 of 1-drop that you want to be playing if you're playing blue. It's stupid good. And I think a lot of people debate whether or not it's too powerful for Modern. I think it's good. I think it's right where it needs to be. But anyways, on with the other stuff. We got 3 Spell Pierce, 4 Remand, and 2 Cryptic Commands. So Spell Pierce just counters target non-creature spell unless they pay 2. This just counter target spell, and then it puts it into their hand instead. You also draw a card. That's very strong. And then Cryptic Command, only 2 of. They're kind of seeing a little less favor in Modern. They're still very good, but Modern's kind of sped up as of late. It's now, turn 4 is not the turn. That's kind of what the rule of thumb was. If you're not winning by turn 4, you're not playing Modern. Now it's kind of turn 3-ish. It's sped up a bit with decks like Bloom Titan and the Gregorio's Vengeance Reanimator deck. Decks that can win on turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3 fairly easily. So Cryptic Command is a little bit slower, but it is still probably the best counterspell in Modern. Debatably, it's very, very, very good and deserves to be in this deck, I think. It fits really nicely on our 4 slot. We only have 4 4-drop spells. Both are, I think, really game-changing, because with the Cryptic Command, I mean, you can do so much with it. I don't need to explain to you guys why Cryptic Command is good. It's really super good, but the reason why what I do need to explain is why there's only 2 in here, and that's because the format has sped up a little bit. If the format then slows down, if they ban out some of these decks, Cryptic Command, I think, deserves to be a 4 in this deck. If the format kind of slows down a little bit. Anyways, this deck is super sweet. It runs super smooth when you're playing by yourself, but control decks are very hard to play solitaire. Very hard to goldfish, because control decks are all about controlling what your opponent's doing, and if you don't have an opponent, you can't really see. So I think this is one of the decks that I really, really want to test, but at the same time, it's a control deck, and control decks aren't really super fun to watch. I mean, it's fun to watch if someone's streaming a control deck, because you can see their hand and you can see all the decisions they're making. But when we do a matchup, I mean, okay, if you guys want to see this being played, tell me in the comments below. Tell me fuck yeah, this looks awesome. If you don't, then also tell me. But I'm really excited about this deck. I really want to play a game with it. I think I might anyways. We'll see. But some news, guys. Make sure you subscribe, because there is a Christmas episode. I know it's early in December, but I just want to give you guys the heads up, because it is hilarious. We try to film in advance so that we can do all the editing and stuff beforehand. But so I'm just giving you a little sneak peek. Be excited for that, and make sure you subscribe for more modern tribal content. Colin should be coming out with his stuff. I know last time I said he was going to do it, but he should be coming out with more deck techs soon. But thanks for watching. Drop a like if you liked it. Drop a like if you didn't. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.